I already know why you're here. You are finally ready to get your finances together, but you need a plan. That plan is called your budget. In this video, I will show you my simple yet very thorough payday routine that I do every single time that I get my teacher check. Not only does this routine help me to keep my financial goals aligned, but it has also helped me to pay off $13,000 worth of credit card debt. A lot of new budgeters struggle with having a routine. A routine is simply just a system. A routine gives your money direction. It tells your money exactly what it's going to do and where it is going to go. So it's really not even about the numbers. It's more so about a peace of mind. So if you want to see how I did mine, keep watching. I break my budget down into 3 different parts. You're going to have your P, which is pay, your S, which is save, and your C, which is cash out. All right, so the first thing we're going to start with is pay. And pay is broken down into 3 sources of income this month. So let's go over those. First thing we're going to count is rollover. Rollover is the money that you have after you have paid all of your bills, expenses, and debt from the beginning of the month. Any money that you have still sitting in that checking account is going to count as your rollover. My rollover for the beginning of this month is $952.60. Now, this is not typical. I usually do not have this much money coming in from rollover because I am a zero-based budgeter, but I got some funds that I was not expecting, so that contributed to the money that I had left over. If you are a Georgia resident, you may have gotten some of the tax refund that they sent. My mother-in-law gave me some money. I transferred some money from my savings for a couple of different things. So I do have a surplus of money here, but this is not typical. All right. So my regular teacher check that I would have gotten anyway was $2,103.56. And last but not least, my summer school pay, because I did also work summer school. And that's where some of that money right there came from as well. Our pay was broken up into 2 separate checks. And so the money that I got for my last 23 hours working was $730.97. All right, so we are going to add all of this up to get our income that we are working with. So turn this on. 5260 plus 2103, 56 plus 30, 87. All right, so that gives us a grand total of $3,787.13 that we have to work with. All right, so the next thing that we have to do here is complete our pay. So we've already done the income side of pay. Now we need to work on our bills, our expenses, and our debt. All right, let's talk about these bills first. My bills for the second half of the month are not as bad as the beginning of the month. Usually for this check, I get a little bit of relief. If you do not know, I am a dual income household. So if you do not see a bill on here, I paid it in the beginning of the month. For instance, on here, you're not going to see mortgage because the mortgage has already been paid for the month. I am going to write down my bills, and I may fast forward through this part just so you all do not have to sit here and watch me write down everything. So Legal Shield. Okay, now that I have written down all of the bills that I have for the month. Let's go ahead and start filling in the amounts that I have to pay for each bill. Legal Shield, which I get is a direct draft from my bank account. It's through my school, and it is to help with any legal issues that we might come in contact with. Life insurance number two. My life insurance number two actually comes out in two different payments, but I'm going to go ahead and combine the two for the month. So one of them is $9.57, and then the other one is $27.18. I cannot tell you why they separated the charges. It's actually pretty annoying, but anyway, it is 36.75. Planet Fitness is the 2508, I believe. My life insurance number one is 8174. I do plan to let one of these life insurance policies go. I know I don't need both of them. One of them can definitely go. My stand store cost me $29. Vivint, which is home security, is 5214. Child care is $400. Memorial. This is a bill that I have to pay for my son. He had to have a sleep assessment done. That's actually supposed to be a 5. He was being looked at to see if he had sleep apnea. When I first got this bill, it was close to $800. So I did put it on the payment plan. This is actually the last installment of that payment plan. Thank God. I will be done paying for that particular bill. And then I have a Roku subscription. Actually, that's my husband Roku subscription. I don't know how he done slipped and got that thing under my account. He think he's slick. All right. So we have all of our bills here. So the only thing we need to do is take our handy dandy calculator one more time and see how much we are paying in bills total. All right. So we have our 29, 21.95. My bad. Plus 36.75 plus 25.08 plus 81.74. And y'all, I usually forget to add my change in there. Sometimes I just do the dollars, and every once in a while, my money will be a little bit off because that change adds up to dollars. Don't be like me. Please add this little change in here. 68 plus 7.99. That brings us to a grand total of $850.33 that we are paying in bills for the second check in July. I'm going to write the income up here again. So $3,787.13. And now I'm going to start recording all of the money that we're about to pay out. So B is for bills. So my B was $850.33. So this will act as a running tab as I am going through my other forms of pay. So $3,787.13 minus $850.33. So now we are left with $2,936.80. Now we have to move on to our expenses. My expenses change based on what I have going on during that time because it is summertime and I'm not doing too much. I only have two things that I really have to account for. Those things are my groceries and my gas. So for my house, we are a family of 5. It's me, my husband, and we have 3 children. For my family of five, I have managed for over a year now to be able to pay my not pay my family. I don't pay them, child. They need to pay me. I have been able to feed my family on $500. So for this half of the month, I'm going to set aside $250. For my gas, I recently got an SUV and it takes a little more gas than my Camry did. I miss my Camry. I could fill up that tank on nothing. I could fill up that tank on nothing. Y'all hear me? Now I have to set aside a little bit more money to make sure that this gas is going to last me for 2 weeks. And again, because I am not driving that much in the summertime, summer school is over. I'm kind of just hanging out at the house until I get ready to go back for pre-planning. I'm not doing a whole lot of driving. That 160 has been working for me. So I'm going to go ahead and add up my expenses. That's at $250 for groceries and then the $160 for gas. And that is a total of $410. All right. So we're going to go ahead and add our E, which is our expenses. And we are already halfway through the pay part. So I'm going to put that for 10 there. All right. So we had $2,936.80 minus the 410, and that is going to give us $2,526.80. All right, the very last thing that we need to do is our debt. I am happy to say that I only have two forms of debt right this second. A few years ago, that was not the case. I was thousands and thousands of dollars into debt. I decided to start budgeting, getting my finances together, and I have paid off a significant amount of debt. I do plan to talk about that in another video, but let's just go over what I am still responsible for. I do have a Discover credit card that is currently holding a balance. So I am going to put $35 here because that is the minimum that I need to pay by the beginning of August. So this is actually a jump start on this because the payment that I needed to make for July has already been paid. The money that I'm allocating from this check is to give me a head start on what I would have to do in August. Sometimes you have to give yourself a little bit of breathing room when you know that some money on some checks don't stretch as far as money on other checks. For instance, my first of the month check is very, very bill heavy. So whatever I can do in this second check, I make sure I go ahead and take care of. So I'm not super stressed out at the beginning of the month looking at money coming out left and right. So this actually will go towards August. Then I also do have a car note. I got the car about 3 months ago. It was after I had my Toyota Camry. I bought it used, but it took me from 2012 to all the way until now. It was well over 200K miles on it, but I really feel like my girl could have ran for another 200K. But because of the size of our family, I have a 1-year-old. So all of us piling into the Camry, sometimes having soccer equipment and luggage and driving for hours, that was just not working. I decided to go ahead and get a bigger vehicle, but I definitely got my money's worth out of my Camry. So my car note when I first got the car was $312, which was super reasonable. I was ecstatic. I was like, oh, I can handle that. So what I decided to do is every time I get a check, if I am able to pay more, I will go ahead and put more on it. So because I have been doing that for the last 3 months, my payment for August is showing $255. So again, this is one of those bills to where I already paid my car note for July. Now I'm working on August to give me a little bit of breathing room for when that bill is supposed to hit. So in the beginning of August, I am supposed to pay $255 for my car note. But because this money is coming from July, I'm going to go ahead and do half of that. So I can pay half now in July and then half in the beginning of August when it rolls in. So I'm going to divide that by 2, and that is 127.50, and I'm just going to round it up to an even $128. So total debt payments that I have for this check is 128 plus 35, $163. So again, we're going to go up to the top, and we are going to subtract that from the income that we started with. So we had $2,526.80. Now we're going to go ahead and subtract. I need to put these subtraction signs. Let me act like I know I'm a teacher and do the right thing. $163 even. So now we have gone over our income, our bills, our expenses, and our debt. And as you see here, we still have $2,363.80 left over. I am a zero-based budgeter. So to have a couple $1,000s left is a significant amount. I want to get this number as close to zero as possible. Before I can move on to the next step, which is save, I have a little bit of business I need to handle. So, because we have a good bit of money left over and it's surely not close to zero, I have to handle some one off situations that are going to affect me in the near future. So, the first thing is that I have decided to go back to school for my third degree in education. And because I decided to go back to school, I had to make the decision about if I was going to continue to draw student loans or if I wanted to pay out of pocket. I decided to go ahead and pay out of pocket because I do not want another dime of student loans. I am starting grad school in the fall. My total for the classes that I am taking, which is 6 hours, is going to be roughly $2,500. I did already start paying it, but I have a balance on my account. So, what I have decided to do, because I have this money left over in this amount, is to go ahead and pay off the balance that is due on that account. Grad school is going to cost me 1,000. Well, this is the balance, $263.50. So let's subtract that from what I had left, which was $2,363.80 minus 1,363. Oop, 200. Just kidding. I was just trying to make sure y'all was paying attention. 50 cents. It's 30 cents. All right. So that will be $1,100 and 30 cents. $1,100.30. I was looking at some math I did before, and I don't know how I did the math that I did before, but yeah. So that is what I will have after that. So that's grad school. Boom. Another one-off situation that I need to take care of is this Discover card. Again, I have this $1,100.30 just sitting here. So I want to get this as close to zero as I possibly can, relieve myself from some bills at the beginning of the month. So let's see if I will be able to handle paying for grad school and the balance from this Discover bill. So I'm going to come over here, and this is going to be Discover. I have one, zero, 30 left over. When I checked my account, this Discover balance was $365.02. So $365.02. And I'm going to take away this $35 that has already been accounted for. So minus $35, because remember that was our minimum payment that was due. And that is going to leave me with having to pay $330.02. All right, that leaves me with $770.28. All right, so now this $770.28 is what I am currently working with. Last piece of housekeeping. So remember, I was saying that if I was able to put more towards that car note, that I would. Since I have $770.28, I am going to go ahead and add another 50 to my car note to get me a little closer to my goal of being able to pay off a significant amount of that car note in a short amount of time. So I'm going to say car loan. If I add $50 to this, that would be 178. So I have 770 left. So 770, 28. And I'm going to do 178 even. Oh, I should have left that on the calculator. 770, 28 cents minus 178 is going to leave me with $592.28. All right, so that is all of my bills, all of my expenses, all of my debt, and any extras that I am able to cover, I have covered. So I am moving into the save portion of my budget with $592.28. Oh, I just realized that I did something wrong. Right here with the car loan, I subtracted the entire 178 from this total right here, and I actually didn't need to do that because I already had 128 here already accounted for. So what I actually should have done is subtract the additional $50 that I am going to be adding to this to create the 178. I'm wilding. Players mess up. All right, minus $50, 28 cents. Why I put that? Ooh, I'm messing up. All right, that's all right. This real life budgeting right here. Mistakes do happen, and it's okay. All right, so I'm actually going into my savings with $720.28. All right, girly pop. That's how much money you got. All right, now let's see what we can save. We got pay, we have save, and we have, see, I can't see it. Cash out. All right, so continuing on from my other page, we are starting with $720. So in my save category, I have two different savings. So I am going to save for my longer term options and for my shorter term goals. I kind of combine my shorter term goals and my cash envelopes just to save me from creating yet another category to have to keep up with. So think of this as sinking funds, long term obligations. Think of this as shorter term obligations, cash envelopes. So I have quite a few things that I save for under both of these categories. And they change based on what I have going on. So, my longer term saving include tuition, since I am tuition back in school now. Tires, I call it tires, but this is for any bigger car maintenance that I might need outside of just getting an oil change or tires rotated or something like that. This is something that's going to cost me a couple $100s that nobody wants to have an emergency for. So I'm going ahead, and if I never end up using it for an emergency, you always know you're going to need some tires. So I am going to go ahead and at least start putting some money aside for major car maintenance. Christmas, home projects, I have a couple of things that I need to get done. Now, some stuff is just aesthetic. Some stuff, like, we have to get done, and I'll be able to talk about those a little bit more in some upcoming videos. In Europe 26, my daughter and I are taking a trip to Europe in 2026. So I am saving for spending money for that in there. So my shorter term in my cash envelopes are as follows. I have a school envelope. And when I say school, I mean the school in which I work. Because, sometimes you might need a little cash. Might want to buy a spirit tea. You might want to buy somebody some lunch as pick me up. You never know. So I always set aside a couple of dollars for school. Then I have my children. I have not given them separate envelopes just yet because I don't have enough money. And that's real. So I just keep it all in one pile so I can spread it as far as I can. Children, clothes. So this can be school clothes. This can be summer clothes. This can be I need a t-shirt to tie dye on a random Wednesday. Personal. That's for me to do whatever I want to do with for that time. Car. This is small car maintenance. This is your car wash. This is an oil change, things of that nature. House. This is small house. This is our towel's a little raggedy. We might need to go get some towels. This is I need a toilet bowl cleaner for upstairs. This is we don't ran out of bleach. Soccer. My two older children play soccer. Always need money for that. Medical. Y'all, I used to always forget to account for copays. I'm talking about I was not accounting for copays. Okay. I thought I wasn't recording, so I had to check and make sure that I was. I would forget to account for copays and it would mess me up every single time. So now I have remembered to go through and make sure I at least have a couple of dollars for that. And then gifts slash birthdays. All right. So I actually want to do my cash envelopes first because whatever I don't use here will end up going over here. So these are like the last things to get saved for. This is pretty much whatever is left over, then I will put over here. I also want to note that all of these are sitting in a high yield savings account. And these most times are kept in cash or unless otherwise stated. And that's actually going to be important when we start talking about the cash out phase. All right. So for the school, I'm going to give $10. My kids are going to get 50. Kids clothes is going to get 82. Personal is going to get 20. Car is going to get 14. House is going to get 20. Soccer is going to get 75. Medical is going to get 35. Gifts and birthdays is going to get $140. Now, I know I just freestyled this off the top of my brain, but I promise there is a method to my madness. But instead of making this video longer than it has to be, I am going to put my specific breakdown for how I come up with these amounts in my cash stuffing video that's going to be right after this. And the reason why I decided to do that is that when I decided that I wanted to start learning how to budget and I learned about using cash and envelopes as a system, I will always see people do just this. They would go through, they would say how much money they're putting in the envelope. And I never understood how much do you know, like what kind of guidelines do you go by to determine like that school is going to get 10, but car is going to get 14. So I want to explain a little bit more about why I put the amounts of money that I do in each one of these envelopes. So hopefully that will help your thought process when you're getting ready to plan out your envelopes, you figuring out how much you can afford or how much you need to put in the envelope in order for it to be effective and not you just feeling like you're winging. I will explain how I knew how to put all of these different amounts in my envelopes. All right, so from here, I have to, of course, add up everything I said I was going to sit to the side. So that is $10 plus $50 plus 82, 20, 14, 20 again, 75, 35, and $140. All right. So that gives me a total of $446 that I am pulling for my short time savings or my cash envelopes. So that leaves me with, I had $720, right? What was the change? 28. 28 cents minus $446. So $720, 28 cents. Don't forget the change, Michaela. Minus 446. is equal to $274.28. All right, so $274 is what we are left with now. I am going to send $100 over to my high yields savings account to go towards these bigger projects up here. So that is going to leave me with $174.28. All right. So tuition isn't going to get anything because I literally just paid for tuition with the bills. And then everything else, I will just evenly divide the $100. If I had more than $100 to send, then I would give according to what would be the priority at the time. Right now, with me having to pay tuition, with me having that medical bill for my son, my car insurance just went up. I can only do my little $100, and that's okay because I do realize that we are living in a time where people not only can't pay their bills, they don't have the extra money to cash stuff, and they definitely don't have the extra money to move over here. So I am grateful. Even if I only can add $25 to my tire fund, that is $25 that I did not have to have. So I am truly grateful for whatever I can slide over here to this high yields savings account. We have pretty much reached the end. The only thing we have to do now is cash out. When you cash out, you pretty much look at everything that you have done in your budget to determine where that money is going to live and work for you. Okay. So since I'm on this page right here, I will talk about this and then I'll go back to the bills. Like I said, all of these are already in a high yield savings account. All I do is transfer the money from my main account to here, and then I distribute the $25 in the separate buckets that I have. For school, I am going to get this in cash, and this is going to help when you get ready to go to the bank to get the cash for your cash stuffing. So this is why I take the extra step to do this even after the budget is done. So I will get this in cash. I am going to leave this in the bank because I will actually send this money via a transfer to my daughter. This is for something specific. I'm going to get some of this money out of the bank, and that sum is going to be $50. The other 32 is going to stay. I'm going to get this out of the bank. I am going to get this, 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 and only some of this. So out of this 140, I'm going to get $100 out of the bank. All right. When you go to the bank, you're going to need to be very specific with the denominations of money that you're going to need to stuff your envelopes. You want to make sure that you have the correct amount of everything because you're not going to be able to stuff the money, especially if it's your very first time doing a cash stuffing. If you don't have the right denominations of money, you're not going to be able to break the change and put it aside in the correct envelopes. So what I like to do here is usually write my cash denominations, and then I go ahead and total up how much of each I will need. So for each category that I'm going to get cash from, I just go ahead and figure out how I'm going to split that up. School is 10, so I'm just going to get a 10. Children's clothes, I'm going to get 50. So I'm going to get a $50 bill. Personal, 20. I'm going to get a 20. Car, 14. So I'm going to get a 10 and 4 ones. House, 20. Soccer, 20, 40, 60, 75. Medical, 35, 20, 35. And gifts and birthdays, I am taking out 100. So I'm going to get this 100. And so I always want to make sure that I am getting the right money when I go to the bank. So I just make sure that I count it all up. So that's 100. That should be 50. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 10, 20, 30, 40, 5, 10, 4 ones. So I should be getting $324 out of the bank. All right. So remember, our cash stuffing was $446, but only $324 is what I'm getting out of the bank. The rest of that money is going to stay in here. All right. We're in the home stretch, guys. The last thing I just want to do real quick, especially if you are a beginning budgeter, make sure you cash out from that first page as well, and that you know what you're going to be doing with your money. This comes out automatically. This comes out automatically. Planet Fitness does. This does. This does. This does. This does not. Childcare does not. I wish it did come out automatically because I would so auto draft that, or at least pay it online if I could. So I'm actually going to get a money order for that. This is on auto pay, and so is this. So my bills are accounted for. My groceries and my gas, I usually have two options that I use for my groceries and my gas. Either I leave it in my account and I make sure that I track and I'm not overspending on what I have allotted, or I will send this to a spending account if I am trying to get credit card reward points. So, all I'm saying is if the incentive, for example, for Discover, is that if you use your Discover card to use it at a grocery store and you will get 5% cash back, then I will go grocery shopping at a grocery store with my Discover card and then just reimburse myself to pay the bill from this grocery allotment. Since I am literally about to pay this off, I am not about to run it back up with gas and groceries because it's honestly not necessary. So I'll just leave this in my main account and I will just make sure that I'm keeping track of how much money I'm spending from these two allotments so I'm not going over what I have designated. Discover is actually an automatic draft. So it automatically will take the minimum amount. But if I want to go in and put more, then I'll just do that manually. And then my car note, I always just go in and pay that manually. I'll just do a transfer for that. Grad school, I'll have to go in and do the transfer for that. And that's about it, y'all. So, this has been my entire budget. I hope that this has given you some insight into how you can get your budget done as well. If you have any questions now that we are done, please, please, please leave them down in the comment section so that I can, on another video, get those questions answered for you. As I stated before, I am going to upload my cash stuffing that goes with this budget. After you leave here, head on over there and watch that video as well. So, if you want to be a part of my journey and if you want to start your journey as well, go ahead, like, subscribe. And if you're just starting your journey, please, please, please grab my free money mindset guide in the link in the description below. It is going to help you get your head in the game and make sure that your mindset is right. So make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you never miss a drop from me. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And as always, keep it classy.